Now, can you tell me a little bit? You're coming out all the way here to Nebraska. What do you hope people take away from what you say you're going to talk to them?
Well, people are gathering tonight to receive a message about the critical importance of the defense of the unalienable right to life. And I hope that they will take away the understanding that we live in a time that is very positive for the pro-life movement, and in which many people are awakening to the truth that the fundamental challenge that faces the American people today is really rooted in the loss of our sense of those basic principles that our country was founded on, starting with the idea that our rights come from God, and that therefore these unalienable rights must be respected by everybody at every level in our society. And I think more and more people are awakening to that now, and it's part of the reason that the pro-life cause is growing in strength.
Okay, and I've read a little bit about what you've said about that, just about the separation of church and state, kind of falls in the same measure. But what would you say people here in Nebraska could do, just the average Joe?
Well, I think the most important thing right now is to reassert the fact that under our system of government, people in their different states were supposed to be able to stand forward and show their reverence for God and show their reverence for the laws and rights that He has given us in a way that they think fit. And I think that's for people in all our states now. There's a movement for personhood that is going on to make sure we recognize the personhood of the child in the womb. And I think that's an effort that's going through state legislatures, that's being promoted in states around the country, and it's something that I hope people in every state will come together to support.
Okay. In the past, you've been openly critical of the President Obama, and how would you rank him in terms of health care, the job that he's doing right now?
Well, to tell you the honest truth, it's really not a question of ranking. I think that the approach he wants us to take, and that he and his cronies have been trying to force on the country, is obviously something that most Americans don't want. We don't want a government-dominated system, because we know that government-dominated systems don't work, and that they actually end up being used for more political purposes than health purposes. And I think people have that common sense. They're rejecting it. And I think that the best thing that can happen right now is that we stop it and stop allowing them to try to take our system, turn it over to government control on the excuse that a system that serves 90% of the people needs to be accessible to the other 10%. Let's deal with that real problem, yes, but let's not try to pretend that the answer is to turn the whole system over to domination by the government.
Okay. And how would you say President Obama is doing in terms of the economy?
Well, the economy speaks for itself right now, and it's not in very good shape. I noticed the other day that Evan Bayh, who is retiring Democrat, and he's going into private life, and he said if he created even one job in the private sector, he would do more than the Congress had done in the whole of the last 6 months. That's a testimony to the failure of the so-called stimulus bill, which turned out to be nothing but a stimulus for political greed and for the usual kind of deal-making that politicians do to get themselves reelected. But if you want to save the economy, then what you need to do is give people back control of their money, starting with across-the-board tax cuts, so that Americans themselves can keep the money they earn and decide how best to save and invest it to bring this nation back to life. That's what happened in the Reagan tax cuts, the Kennedy tax cuts. In the 1920s, when there was a recession, they did the same thing, and the result was that we got out of a bad situation. You don't turn it over to politicians. Turn it over to the people.